Good afternoon, friends who have assembled here in AG66 and lots of you who are obviously joining online. We're glad that at least we have started these on the regular in-person meetings. So you see some of you, but yeah, I see a lot of you online. So today is a very special asset colloquium. It's a asset is about science and technology, and I don't think it could be there could be a better representative of somebody who straddles science and technology better than our speaker today. So BASF, okay, these are 4 letters. Everybody who has done chemistry, chemical engineering are familiar with it. It's the world's largest manufacturer of chemicals, world's largest. And if you go to their plant in Ludwigshafen in Germany, which I had the good fortune of being there, it's a whole city which is a plant. You go everywhere, you look everywhere for miles, for kilometers, you see pipes and things going. So that very large industry has an innovation campus in Mumbai, headed by our speaker, Dr. Dietmar Hueglin today. So very, very well welcome to Dietmar. 1 second, let me just introduce and tell you, why he is so special. So he got his PhD in Freiburg, middle of the Black Forest somewhere, okay, long time ago. And his mind has always been on innovation. He's been an innovator par excellence. He has 45 US patents to his name, and very common products. Such as the UV absorbing things in cosmetics is invented directly by him. Some of those which have been are regularly in commercial use. And he has been awarded very heavily by the industry. He has received the 2004 award from the Sandmeyer Award from the Swiss Chemical Society. He was incidentally born somewhere in the border between Germany, Switzerland, and France. Okay, very, very beautiful area. You walk in any direction or drive in any direction, it's very nice. And he was also awarded he was initially with, in India, he has been an appreciator, probably a lover of India. He's visited India since he says, here till this long in the 1980s as a student or just somebody who just graduated. And of course, he lives in India now, in Bombay now. And he has been having some assignment in India from 1991, if I'm not mistaken. 92, yeah. He was with the SIBA Specialty Chemicals. He is presently the director of the BASF Innovation Campus in Mumbai, a position he assumed in January 2018. He obviously enjoys. And what I will say is it's good to have him here because some of you know that we are a very fundamental science institute, but we are now, over the last couple of years, looking forward to shaking hands with industry which actually values top-line innovation. We have very special people in this institute, including some of you, the students, and we do work at the highest level, and it requires an industry which also works at that level to shake hands and to extract value from each other. And I hope this relationship, which is started thanks to Satya and to Vivek, who is unfortunately not here in town today, hopefully will continue and this will go somewhere. Okay, so over to you, Dietmar.
Yeah, thanks a lot for this kind introduction. It's a real pleasure to be here with you. And yeah, when I say in India, I'm from BASF, they think first BASF, Border Security Force, but this would not be possible as a foreigner, I would say, to protect your borders. So yeah, again, it's a pleasure. And I'm a big friend of India, I have to say, and I talked to some of you for many, many years. So when I say things where I think there should be improvements, don't misunderstand me. I do not want to criticize anybody. But I do believe that there is room for progress, as in every country, and there are some particular situations in India which need some attention. But also, and I say right from the beginning, as you said, I was here first time 1980, but as a student, nothing with business, and 92, first time because we had a large research center in Oregon. and I was there for projects. And then later I became responsible for India from my company from Switzerland. And now with the age of 59, BASF gave me the opportunity with 15, now I'm 63, so but with 59 I came here and had the pleasure and the honor to manage a newly built campus, a world-class campus here in Navi Mumbai. So it's just that I would like to use this opportunity to give you a little my thoughts. It's not more and not less, and it will be about innovation and about important facts in innovation. Let me move, there's some issue. This is working, but I cannot move the slide. Could you check?
Actually, the screen is
Just click.
yeah, now it should be.
Now it works, yeah. Yeah, very brief. You said a few things. So I'm German and Swiss citizen, but I have Indian Aadhaar card and PAN card, so I pay here tax. I live in Basel and in Mumbai for 4.5 years now, and Freiburg is the Black Forest University, a very old university. And I have now 32 years in chemical research and applied research in different functions. And my main countries where I worked was Germany, Switzerland, and India, but also had stints in US, UK, Japan, and China. So, and I travel India for more than 30 years now. I have not been everywhere, but I've been at many places, also very remote places in India. So last year, after the lockdown, I had the pleasure to show my wife Delhi, and we went to Taj Mahal, and nobody was there. This morning, for 10 minutes, only our guide who made the photograph, and we were there, because it was at 6 in the morning. And last year, this year in April, I went to a nice place in Assam. And we went to Arunachal and different parts of this remote, more remote northeast, which I can really recommend. Very nice people, huge nature and everything. So, yeah, and my own, you say 32 years, what did I achieve? How did I change the world? It's a little, yeah, what I did, it was in the field of specialty chemicals, back to Ciba time and Ciba-Geigy. And I had particularly the pleasure to be involved very early with the question of sun protection, which is about UVB radiation, is not going deep into skin. It is causing the erythema, particularly if you're white. So, and this products were existing for this. But then the discovery was in the 90s that UVA radiation, which is longer wavelengths, where there was no protection, is not causing pain, immediate pain, but long-term melanoma. And there wasn't the chance to develop products to prevent this melanoma. And I was in this project, and I also was lucky, because it's not only about in research passion and interest, you also need sometimes luck. Because I'm in India, I want also to tell you the following, because this I work since 92. Until now, I deal with cosmetic sun protection with the topic. And I know in India, people want always to look lighter. Dark is not as good as light, but I tell you the opposite is true. Because from nature, we have melanin. And the melanin pigment in our skin is the natural protector from UV radiation. This is a genetic, over thousands of millions of years. And therefore, if you are darker, then be happy that you are darker. And if you are lighter, then you should not say lighter is better than darker. So again, I'm skin type here 1 or 1.5 here. I have big problems. People here, Indians most likely are in the middle here somewhere, more dark people have no problems. So just to tell you, you should be proud to be darker because you are not at risk to develop skin cancer. Yeah, and this is also about in my early phase of my career already, and this is the general thing. When we in industry develop new products or new technologies, nearly all the times there is an element of academic cooperation. It can be a smaller one or the dominant one. And in my case, with this Dietmar, which is the most successful product of my own discovery in the labs, this was a double industry collaboration because we as a chemical research company, of course, we worked also with a cosmetic company because we were not able to develop it on our own, but then also we worked with academia to understand what happens UV radiation with molecules. How must the molecule look? that you have 100% conversion of the energy to thermal energy. This is exactly what happens with the UV absorber. Light, radiation is transformed into vibration and then into thermal. And this we did with different universities. And finally, I was happy to result. And you see, it was a long way. It was 10 years of research to the market because it's very demanding. You have a lot of molecules, a lot of tests, a lot of failures, and finally a very, very difficult and time-consuming registration, and then you can sell to the market. And in this case, it was perfect because no other company had such a molecule. So our business immediately went up, and this is something which is sold in cosmetic, but it has a medical benefit, as I said. Oh, what is this now? One sec. That was too fast. Yeah. I have to go back a little. Yeah, my alma mater is Freiburg im Breisgau, and this also relates strongly with the topic I'm talking about today, academic-industry relationship. So this is the old city, the university. The institute is a little to the left. And university is famous. Most old universities are famous, but I want to give you two things what you should capture when it's Freiburg. One part is Staudinger, who was the guy who believed in macromolecules, that it's possible to have long molecules, because at that time, 1915, 1920, other physicists and chemists thought it's not possible. It is a kind of coagulates, colloids, which cause these properties. And he was able to show that it's macromolecules. So he is a discoverer of macromolecules. And this led then, you will see in a moment, this led to a huge boost of innovation also from BASF. Because when it was known macromolecules are possible, then chemists were able to do polycondensates and later polymerisates and polyadducts and so on very quickly. And the other thing which is important, I think, to know is that there's an old library, and then you can book a time slot, and then you can see this map on the right-hand side, which is the first map in world history where the name America was given to the new continent. And this was simply because the map maker here, he wanted to have the best maps in the world, and he was in exchange with the explorers. And Amerigo Vespucci, the Italian discoverer, he sailed along what is now South America. He saw big rivers coming out. And then he said, this cannot be a small island, a big river. This must be a continent, which then Waldseemüller put on this first map. So otherwise, without this map maker, more likely we would call it the United States of Colombia as a new continent. Yeah, now, I briefly introduced to BASF, to what we are doing in India, and then we come to our main topic, the gap, the valley of death, the collaboration in India, some comments and final comments. Now, we are, as you rightfully said, we are a world company, a leading company with a very broad portfolio of products and technologies. Also, this site in Ludwigshafen is amazing. You dream about pipes and tank farms and whatever if you visit it first time. And we are also present in all markets in the world. So truly world company, a lot of big numbers. I don't want to go into details. Important is Verbund. Verbund, there is no English word. Verbund means in German, it's a German name. You don't have just a plant and 2 plants, 3 plants. You have hundreds of plants together on one side. And what is the beauty? The beauty is that you can use energy more efficiently. You can use waste, better treat waste. Of course, you have the scale. And this is now very important today if we look forward with CO2 mitigation, with ecology, with sustainability. Our huge Verbund sites, where we have in all continents, we have this such Verbund sites, will help us also to achieve our goals. It is good to be in chemistry, and you relate to chemistry. We should be proud to be chemists. Why? Because if we look at the different categories of our industries and we look at the needs on the bottom, we have more and more people which need good nutrition, which need better energy. We have to get rid of fossil fuels. We have to change in the next years dramatically the way we live. And it's clear, chemistry will not have all the answers, but without chemistry, we will not be able to achieve what we need to achieve in future. So all of us should be proud to be chemists, and we should really also help in this direction to have innovation for a new and sustainable world. And this is the basic principle of our company. Besides, of course, we need to make money. We want to make money, but we create chemistry for a sustainable future. This is our purpose. So, you know, in the meantime, you have values. You have the purpose of the company is we create chemistry for a sustainable future. Yeah, and this is showing you the dimension of the task now. On the left side, you see our pledge, our targets on zero emission. You know, nations also give this pledges, and we already are in a good way. And it has to do, of course, basically with production plants, which has to change completely from gas to electricity. We have steam crackers which are run by gas. They need to electrification. Hydrogen will play a role. All these type of things will be very important. Then we need to get to more into circular economy. Already a lot of products we sell are basically recycled. But in future, we cannot allow to have waste dumps. We need to have this recycling needs to be very, very high. And then this is something special. We classify our products in different categories, and accelerator products are the sustainable products, which don't leave a footprint. And then you have challenge products, which are very bad. And our target in research is to replace one after the other. You see, the challenge should go away completely. Then we have the transition, which only should live for a few more years, and the performance are already good, can be improved. And we have very high ambitions with this accelerator sales, and we celebrate particularly when we come up with a new accelerator product, which is not negative for our planet. Yeah, and this is a Verbund site. You have been there, right? You can take a bus tour through. It's 10 kilometers, 12 kilometers long, 3 kilometers wide. You can be lost in this maze. You don't know where you are. Okay, there are maps and so on. Oh, this I can skip maybe. Yeah, take this one. So I have mentioned we are a global company, so we have also global footprint. And in Asia, we have particularly two sites, which we call campus, the Mumbai site and the Shanghai site. And a campus is a place where everything is under one roof. And it does not matter if we change our research portfolio, we move from small molecules to large molecules, biotechnology. It has a strategic importance, so we will stay here, independent from where we go. While in smaller sites, an example is Suwon in South Korea. There we are together with Samsung in a university with a floor, and we do display materials. If we would stop doing display materials for monitors, for mobile phones, we would exit this place because it's very, very narrow, but very deep. And you see, this is always very impressive what we spend. We are 10,000. I'm one of 10,000 people in my company who deals with new products, new technologies. So it's quite significant. And the Verbund, which I have shown you, a big plant with hundreds of production sites which are interconnected, the same way we think about innovation. We have a Verbund internally between the sites, and then we have the external Verbund, particularly with academia and startups. Yeah, very brief. We are in India. We are a German company. Many years, all innovation was done from Germany. Then we went to the US. Then we added Japan. Then China, because the Chinese campus is older. But in India, we are also present for many, many years already. But why are we in India? And this is two reasons. One reason is on the left-hand side, India is a real powerhouse of talent. You know it. And India is exporting a lot of talent, more and more coming back also. We want to have really recruit talent here from India, for India, but also for abroad, for our operation. And then we have technology. India, I look at it like a pyramid. You have a huge university system with more than 1,000. The bottom is more education, which is very important for this country. And the top is very strong in innovation. And you belong to the top ones, and therefore I have listed a few of them which we consider as top universities, which also can really partner with us, should partner with us for our future. And then on the right-hand side, you see the other arguments for being here. This is also very important, that this is a huge market where we sell more and more products. Last year, we exceeded the 2 billion euros first time. When I came, we had 1.2 billion euros sales. Now, last year we had 2.3. You see, this is in 4 years. So we have very, very nice economic growth here. And everything is driven by the population, and particularly you have a huge population, but the middle class is also getting bigger and bigger. This is important for our company because the middle class is buying cars. They are having apartments. They use finally our products. Yeah, very simple. Our mantra is we create chemistry of the company. And this applies 100% what we are doing in Navi Mumbai. From small molecules, complex molecules, process development, looking at different routes, kilogram, kg lab, process development, and we introduce the product finally to the plant, which can be internal plant or toll manufacturer. So we do the whole organic chemist for small molecules. This is our specialty. While the colleagues in Shanghai, they do materials, polymers, whatever. The Japanese colleagues do more battery research and so on. So we don't do everything at the same place. We have special jobs all over the world. And this is our portfolio of products, from large chemicals, basic chemicals, down to specialty products. And you see, we are not in the large chemical one. Research in India does these industrial solutions, nutrition and care, but particularly agricultural solutions. Few pictures. So I hope Vivek, he was with us. I remember our meeting here. So this is a building. You see, this is direction of Thane. Belapur Road. Here is the Turbhe train station. We are just a little opposite. This is my office. All these 3 segments are 2 floors. So this is a little the design, and it's an atrium building, which in one way is more costly because you lose a lot of floor space, but it's much nicer to work in an atrium building. So most research buildings and new research buildings are atrium buildings because you can look through, you have a much better feeling, and labs have not walls, they have glass, you know, you have a very nice interaction. And the atrium as such is used as a town hall, for town halls, when we have professors, when we have lectures internal, we are in the atrium. And the labs are not so different from what you have here. What makes us very proud is the kilogram lab. This is a high ceiling, and what we do here are so-called mini plants. When I started 30 years ago, we did molecules, 5 grams in the lab. Then we went to another department, 1 kilogram. Then they went to a first pilot, 1 ton. Then they went to the 10-ton pilot. It was very costly. It was very time-consuming. Thanks to modern technology, we have here basically a simulation of a plant in small scale, which allows us to get kg quantities of molecules, which we need for field trials or customer sampling. But we also, if we know where the product will be introduced, we can basically mimic the plant and can do the final process for the plant where the molecule should go, which saves a lot of time and cost. This is called mini plant. And then this is very similar. The synthesis lab's not different from what I have seen here. A little less chaotic, but this is normal in academia. The labs are a little more crowded. Analytical lab, you see, it's a large one with all the LC-MS and whatever. And then we have also development units. Research has a global mission. We do new molecules for global markets, not just for India, while the development units, they take care for the Indian market. Indian customers, and you see they look different. There's a pharma lab where we can do tablets and whatever, and this is a fuel lab where we do whatever, engine fuels and so on. Oh, sometimes it's jumping. So I have just to go back a little. Yeah, and then we have a creation center, which is a modern way, because our products are not in the they are in the final products. This can be from BASF here, this here. But what we show in the creation center to our customers is what is possible with our products to trigger new ideas, which is very successful. Yeah, industry academia, as I said, is fundamental, and it's, if you look at the history of BASF, I think BASF is a very nice example how important industry academia relationship is. This is a little our history, which is 157 years old. And if we look here, I just have named a few milestones. All what is red is clearly and dominantly also in a way in partnership development with academia. Does not say the others, everywhere academia has played a role, but look here, and the asterisk means Nobel Prize. So we worked with institutions where our partner later got a Nobel Prize. And it started with India. It's funny because, you know, the first product, which was a profit machine, was the synthetic indigo, which, you know, was not nice for the British. The British hated it because they sold the natural indigo from India. And then Adolf von Baeyer, he invented a new process, later got the Nobel Prize. And you see here also we have different phases of our company. Every generation basically has changed. And with the money we made from one of the synthetic dye phase, we invested into the next phase, next phase, next. And this will continue. Our company will always change, but we will need to innovate. And then ammonia, you know, Haber-Bosch process. Polystyrene, I mentioned Staudinger. That was the reason that I showed you my university, Staudinger. Because he discovered the macromolecules roughly a year, 1920, and then a few years later, all the polymers came. Then we came to vitamins, Georg Wittig reaction. This was our partner for the vitamin A synthesis, which has a Wittig reaction inside. Without him, we would not be able, and so forth. I don't get into details, but the message is a company like BASF, but also many other companies. Apple, for instance, what we have here, iPhone, there is a lot of partnerships with academia, of course. We cannot do it alone, and we won't do it alone. This is something which I always ask students. This is the question, but I will give the answer directly, otherwise it takes a lot of time. If we see at the world population, 1800, first billion, 127 years later, second billion. I'm born here, 1958, so less than 3 billion. This is my birth. And then look here, 1 billion in only 14 years. Huh? Now it's getting flatter again. What is the reason why this happened in the 20th century, this increase? And why did it not happen in the 14th century, or why will it not happen in 500 years from now? What is the reason? Many people say it's pharma. To a minor extent, it's pharma, yes, because antibiotics and so on, you know, people get older. But the main reason, and this sounds arrogant, but it's true, is BASF, okay? And you see the main reason is this here. Because if you come to Germany, then you have Ludwigshafen, then you have Limburger Hof. This is a farming research part, and there's a small farm, and there's a museum in the farm. And in this one room museum, you have black and white pictures which show the crops without fertilizer, with manure, you know, with cow shit, little higher, and then you see with ammonium nitrate, and you see how the yield has grown. And there's a calculation from the FAO that with two-thirds of our nitrogen when we eat, right? And we need nitrogen, protein. 2/3 of the nitrogen is coming from this ammonia process. 1/3 outside. Or the other calculation is without this reaction, the industrial reaction, because nitrogen and hydrogen does not want to be combined. It's a catalytic process which is quite demanding, the industrial one. Without this process, we could only feed 3 billion people, 3. But we are now at 8, and we will soon have 10. And therefore, in Ludwigshafen, when you come to us, this is one of a park, and here's the main visitor center, this old column, and there's a plate, and this says exactly, this was the first column where industrial synthesis happened. And now we come to the topic. Bread from Air was the project name, and it was a joint project between here, Karl Bosch, BASF, research guy, and here Fritz Haber from Karlsruhe University at that time. So again, this is really fundamental. I come to another one which is closer to my time in the 90s, because you all use mobile phones, smartphones, and we have displays, monitors, TVs, and so on. This is linked to my company Ciba-Geigy, because it's about this, that you can see something on this displays. This is related to colors. You see colors, right? And this is related to color filters. I briefly explain what it means. And this was also developed between Ciba-Geigy, a chemical company, a manufacturer of final products. I can tell you it was Toshiba and Hitachi in Japan. They started with the whole thing, with this development. And then we had a lot of academic collaboration to make this possible. That the following. What you have here on this screen, if you look at it, are pixels, very tiny. You cannot see individual. You need a magnifier with the basic colors. And this is one layer. There are other layers. But this basic color to make red and yellow and green and blue, this is a complex technology, which at that time came from our company, Ciba-Geigy, and which is now used everywhere. Everybody looks at it. For instance, she is just looking at it, and only this development, you would not see anything. And I'm not saying this is the only thing. There are thousands of innovations in a smartphone. Even in the display, you have a lot of layers with different functionality, but without this color filter, we would see nothing, right? And this was again then the point, what I explained, because the status here you see of, we had the CRT, I know it because my youth, we only had the CRT, and then we had all this monochromatic stuff. And then the question 92, it came, is it possible to have dynamic flat screen where we have the switch through liquid crystals and where we can see colors with small pixels? This is possible. At the beginning, everybody said it's not possible. This is not possible, but I remember the first screen with quite big pixels when we saw the flipping, you saw very bad quality, but then we saw it's possible. And this is a very, very important point. Now, back to the topic. What are we doing now? You have seen in the past, we did individual projects, Carver-Bosch, close in Germany, close university. Then we moved to the US. There we have 2 networks now. California, CARA, and this is with Stanford, and here with Harvard and MIT and so on, CALA. CALA is NORA is Northeast, this one here. And then we have in Europe, Jonas with ETH Zurich, University Heidelberg, also with Strasbourg and others. And this is important here. We have then started, this was the latest edition, is a now network for Asian open research. What does it mean? We have a lot of point-to-point interactions always. BASF had this. There's a research center, and then you look out and what can do. This means strategic cooperation. It does not depend on if Vitek is here, I'm here. This is a regular interaction with a target to make project together, financed by us, from us. But it needs, of course, endorsement from the company. I cannot just say, I like this guy, I want to do a project. I need the endorsement from Ludwigshafen because we don't want to spend this for a project in India, and we do the same in the US or so. It needs to fit to the overall portfolio. But when we are convinced this is a strong partner, then we add this university academia to our global map of academic collaborations. And we had the Innovation Campus in Shanghai already 2011, so we started in Shanghai earlier, and there were also old relationships, for instance, with Kyoto University, Seoul University, and this is currently the official map which you find in every year's annual report of BASF on academic networks. And officially at the moment we have 2 collaboration partners where we regularly do projects now. So we visit them, they visit us, we look for opportunities, and finally we endorse projects on a regular basis. Honestly, this network has also the advantage that we like to recruit from there, because we know the professors, we know the students, and then we also like to recruit. And this is, of course, India is still, the footprint is small, but we will continue to add partners. But it also means a lot of work, because regular interaction means not coming once a year, it means regular exchange. Yeah, now I come a little to the issue. Academia has a different target, it's a different philosophy, and then we have industry. Basically, the outcome of academia should be knowledge, and the outcome of industry should be money, to be very open. But all is about innovation, all is about mindfulness, thinking about new things. And as I said, no success in industrial research without academia. And I think also academia is only existing because there is an economy, which drives everything forward. So, but there is 2 things when you saw about a gap. A gap, basically, one meaning of the gap. What I mean is that academia and industry has different understanding, don't come together, think bad about each other. This is the typical human gap, or you don't take the time to talk to each other. This is a gap which can be easily changed by interacting and by understanding. Both are important. But there's a fundamental gap which I want to briefly explain, which we have to know. If we know it, this here, then we can counteract, then we can mitigate, then it's not a problem. But if we don't know, both parts are always frustrated. And what is this? Oh, pardon. again moving. Oh, this remote is a little unstable, but no problem. This is technology readiness level. To make it very short, this applies to all innovation. You can do a software, you can do a molecule for pharma, you can do a new engine, whatever. This means that all the technology developments have a TRL between 1 and 9. 1 is I made an observation, and 9 is the product is used on the market. And you see, research at university has the target from the idea to go maximum to proof of concept. I show something that it's demonstrated or whatever. And industrial R&D, we normally start here because we get demonstrated something is working and we make it working in a real application on the market, which can be manufactured, which can be distributed and so on. And the gap is really this one here. The gap is really to demonstrate that academia is able to demonstrate something to industry which makes them excited. But if it's too early, then we say, sorry, continue to work to make us excited. Not because we are bad guys, simply because we cannot do basic research. We don't have the funds and it's not our job. And if you when you understand this, it's not a problem. It's absolutely not a problem. And this, yeah, this is what I said. Academia assumes that industry will pick up the technology early. We are already excited, which is not the case. We assume that we receive something which already has gives us some thoughts for with practical relevance. And both of them think we will interface where you typically end your process, and both are unhappy because we get the feeling, oh, academia is not understanding us, and you think industry is not understanding you. But this is a general thing. You see, this is a scientific thing, the gap. Both invest, industry more. When we develop products, it's a lot of, we have to have production, everything. This gap has to be closed. And this is exactly the field for collaboration. When we understand about this gap, we can do things, and this I have seen many times, that we say, okay, there is this gap. How can we get to what very often it's to demonstrate that something in principle works, not the product, but in principle, because then it's easier for us to allocate funds and to cooperate. And then you can find a way always to bridge this gap in collaboration. Yeah, you see, this is now the valley of death. This is another depiction of the situation. When you start to cooperate, you're not aware, you do not have discuss this in between situation, then you exactly experience the value of death. It means federal funded research starts and everything looks fine. And here industry is looking for the product, but we cannot get over this gap, you know, at the end of the day, we run out of interest capital and then we are here with the cactus, it's gone. Well, this is also nice here, you know, we have the discovery, the industry is really interested, we get funds and everybody's supporting, we have the contracts, but here, you know, it's wasted money, finally. And this happens quite often. The financial thing is also important for you to understand. When we pay money for research, we pay money for research at the beginning, and you see here, this is the cumulative profit time. So only if we are above this line, we make a profit. Before it's only cost. Research, development, we get money, spend money also for academic collaboration, whatsoever. Even when the commercialization starts, we are in the negative, because only when all the previous costs have been covered by revenues, then we make the first rupee. This is the first rupee of profit after this. And therefore, we are very much interested that this gap situation is not happening, because otherwise it's just money for nothing. Yeah. And this again, this also shows it nicely. This is the biggest problem of research overall, industrial research, because we have limited money and we have many projects. And if we water the projects too long, we spend only money with this curve, and we don't get up here, then the whole money is wasted. At some time, industrial research person gets challenged, now you have to stop because you already spent millions and millions and millions. But if you stop too early, then you waste your whole R&D budget, because everything has started and nothing has, because we always have problems in projects, of course. So this is the most important point for an innovation manager, to find out what has to be watered here, Still, even if we have big issues, what has a chance for success? What has a chance to come up here? And what should we really stop because it's looking only downwards? Yeah, India. The general situation is not different in other countries. What I just showed you, the principal issue of expectations and the role of the two players is exactly the same everywhere. So what I said before. India, there are some specific situations, I think, which I would like to highlight. But first, it must again, this is the most important slide here. Everybody of us has ambitions. Some people, everybody of us went through academia, by the way. Also, industrial research people, we all have been at university, so we know the academia. But we have chosen another track. We wanted to have more practical, more industry relevant research. And people who stay at academia, professors, have chosen another track. But both is of equal importance to the innovation and the well-being of the countries, because I did not mention, this is not just funny things, because the wealth of a nation depends on the capability to innovate. It's very simple. Rich countries are rich either because you have sand and soil underneath. They don't need to innovate much as long as soil is coming and they can sell it. This is Saudi Arabia. But most countries do not have the oil. They have to innovate to also bring the country forward. And both circles have the same size, both fonts are the same. They should really meet each other on the same level and not looking down. Startups play also a role. They are smaller normally, but they are an addition now, which also help to bridge here the gap, because the startup already has something to show, and startups are also very, very interesting for us to look at startups, because they are somewhere in between what I showed you. So, and the basic question is very simple. Industry, what is needed is for us the key question. This only the industry can answer, because we spend our money, we risk our money, we succeed, we fail. A company can just be dissolved. Also, BASF can fail, and then we don't know if in 100 years or even in 20 years BASF will exist. So this is our job, and academia should ask every day what is possible. What is possible, you know, and to understand principles, to look for basic knowledge. And the opportunities for collaboration are just in between. What is interesting, what is needed, what is possible, and where we find this intersection there, we should work together. And there is again the human factor. We should accept each other as the same value, then we should also identify opportunities, which is hard work. It's not done to meet and to show and whatever. This is a regular interaction to find out, you know, to partner with each other is really hard work. And we have whole scouting groups at BASF who look around. And I have some scouting function here in India also to look around. And then the other thing is technology pull versus market, technology push versus market pull. This is, I think, I don't know if you know this. There are two different ways of innovation. Either the market comes and we need something. This is called market pull, which then we listen to customers. Normally, this is incremental innovation. The market normally does not know fundamental new things. And then there's technology push. There's something possible which was not possible before, and then industry thinks about what can we make out of it. So basically, both have the same importance. And there's government. And government is also important, because government defines the rules, right? And also the funds. We just discussed basic research by definition is funded by government. And government has the money also from the industry, because all profits have to be taxed. And the industry has a lot of people. They also pay tax. So there's a lot of tax around. And part of the tax should also be used by government for funding of basic research. That's my opinion. If industry would now start also to fund all the basic research, then you can ask, yeah, what is government for? Huh? So, and it needs to have a top priority. This is what I miss a little in India, watching the news and so on. It's the importance of R&D and the importance of innovation for this country here, this huge country, to be able to develop technologies world class, which are also maybe can be exported to other nations for income. This factor is not much in the news, honestly. Also it's more a lot about temple and things, Ayodhya and everywhere, but the importance of this factor, a top priority, I cannot absolutely see in India. Translational institutes. India has developed very nice, also with CSIR and so on. So there's a lot of progress, but there is still room, I think, to look more for translational institutes. There are institutes who are connected to academia and connected to industry. They're both partners, basically like matchmaking, you know. And these institutes, I show you examples, they also have own facilities to make prototypes. Exactly what I showed you. They have facilities to make a demonstrator, a prototype, which then is a good basis that industry comes and says, yes, we want to have this, and we want to develop a product out of it. Translational institutes. Yeah, this is general. This is not only India. We need good talent. A lot of people don't want to choose chemistry. They don't want to do natural science. It's very time consuming. It's also a difficult study. They want to be, I don't know what, internet something or communication or something. So we need to have this. We need also innovative teaching methods. You know, we need to learn, for instance, curriculums. Project management is something very important if you do any kind of technology product development. Any startup person needs to understand project management, and this should be also more educated, I do believe. I also did not have it at university, but it would help. And maybe KPIs, also a lot of academia, I don't know how it's here, it's just number of publications and citation index, but also patents should be important. If it's possible to patent, then this would be nice. And then, as I said, government has to look for innovation-friendly framework, ease of doing R&D, not to have a lot of hurdles, incentives. And of course, appointments in government and in institutions should be based on merit, not because I'm the son of, or I know this guy or something like this, which happens in India. I know it even in the ministry in Delhi. I have seen such situations that people are not competent, but they know the guy or they are the whatever, nephew or whatever, yeah, these type of things. Yeah, a fundamental thing is, of course, we can do all perfect in India, but if there's no spending, no money around, then it will not work. And India has a very low R&D investment, 0.7%. And it even, if you look at it, what is public, what is private, then you have a very low share is private. And when you take away the international companies and maybe some military research, the smaller industry in India basically does not do research, only product adaptation, product development, and so on. So this needs to be increased. And also, you see, in India, 75% is government, like here, and only 25% is private. So India is lacking on the capacity of private research funds to develop new technologies and new products. And in the developed economies, it's not the BASF. BASF has a big company. It's more the small companies who have a specialty, and they spend then really a lot of money to stay on top of the crowd. Yeah, risk capital, risk culture. These are also, of course, points. And this is important, and this I already mentioned, the understanding of roles and responsibilities. Therefore, I like to do these talks. Again, academia is extremely important. I wanted to stay in academia. I would be in academia. My professor was too old. He could not support me anymore, so I looked around in industry. I fully understand and respect academia. Industry has the same importance, but many people don't see it this way. In academia and in industry, they look down to the others. Yeah, open, permeable, collaborative, silo mentality. We have the old system is very rigid. You are on this side or you are on this side, right? And also what I see more, not invented here, is more in industrial research. There are people who do not want to collaborate because they say, I'm the competent guy. Why should I collaborate with another one? I saw it in the development of this UV field. I tell you a story because we have shows you the funding of research in India. 0.7%, and it's not increasing. It's rather on the decreasing side here. And also other low and middle income countries have in the meantime a higher share. I do believe, and this is discussed in Indian media, we need more research, particularly private research. Public, India, you will see, is basically okay with your systems, what you have with IITs and ISA and CSIR and all the systems, but private is poor. Yeah, I don't know, but this is also, I think, under discussion, incentive structure. Of course, people want to be promoted, want to have a career, and incentives play an important role. So if there is academia who also has the capability to work with industry and to make own patents, because the best for academia is if academia has their own patent, and then is coming to industry. This is a very good situation for academia. If industry only makes a patent, it's also not so good for academia. So a professor who does a patent, this should be rewarded and respected. And maybe one patent is more important than 5 publications, right? If at the end of the day, there's a good outcome. So incentive schemes. It is also clear when I came to Pune in 1992, wanted to cooperate, they told me, why should I work with you? I get the money from Delhi. So that was basically the argument. Okay, this also means to have 100% funded through government sometimes is also not very innovative. So kind of there are institutions which have a mixed funding, also forcing a little to look outwards and to cooperate. Mobility, this is, I think, another issue. If I'm right, what I see in India, of course, this is average, not individual, but most people are deciding, I go to industry, I go to academia, and then it's basically forever. It's like a crossroad, and then you go here or there. This is outdated, honestly. Of course, individuals can do this, there's no problem, but there should be a possibility. You are in industry, you have done applied research, and you go back to academia, to applied academia, or vice versa, you go from academia to industry. And we have this, I see this in the 2 countries I know best, are Germany and Switzerland. There are a lot of people move between this, yeah. Yeah, and then international mobility is also an important point. I think a lot of people in India move, postdoc and so on. This is clear, but we also, I would like to see more professors, also the exchange vice versa. So it's more a one-way, right? If we see professors here in IITs, it's that I know this guy has been in the US and he is back, but you don't see many foreigners in India. Maybe this has to do with payment, or I don't know, but the mutual exchange should be helped, because it's also good to be here as a foreigner and to support here the Indian academia system, academic system. Yeah. Risk-averse culture, I fully understand. It's easy to say, like me from Switzerland, I take risk because there's a lot of money around. If I fail, I don't. But still, I think the thinking, India needs to get to the next level. You see that the pharma industry, India is very, very strong in genericas, very strong. I talked to the CEO of Wockhardt Group. He said he is one of the few companies who do drug design to new molecules, but it's highly risky because you have 100 molecules and nothing works, you know. But if you succeed, you have much more revenue. So again, this is the point. I mentioned this change of attitude, government. I want to inject enthusiasm at school level. This is a very nice thing which we do in India. BASF, we support this, and abroad, of course, it's done at a very high level. You see, this is a kids lab which we did in our campus to excite children about what we are doing. So we do experiments with them and hope that they also will find a way to later maybe be scientists. So children are extremely interested in new things. You explain, chromatography, you have a pen and you have brown, and brown is separating in green and yellow and whatever, this type of things. Very, very interesting. And this is just, what is going on here? I'm just close to finalize, yeah. This is just last week in Basel, in my city. There is fairs, regular fairs, where companies show to kids what they are doing. Of course, the kids don't understand. This is pharma research, but they get these goggles and they can see how molecules can be designed that they fit into a cavity of an enzyme. This type of fairs to excite young people is very, very important. So maybe learning from best practice. This is a little, I think, what India is doing, and this is this translational research that, of course, we need fundamental research institutions, and we need also institutions which are more applied. And in Switzerland, I see particularly the EMPA system and University of Applied Science. And in Germany, it's the Fraunhofer Institutes. And the Fraunhofer, oh no, what is now? This is, now I go back. I will finalize quickly here. The Fraunhofer Institute is a beautiful thing where also BASF, we work with them. They also have, they are abroad in the US and China, also in India. They bridge this gap through an organization which has, of course, own capabilities, but you see, which is in between the public funded fundamental research system and the industry. So we really like to link to Fraunhofer. We tell them what is our interest. They link to academia, and they have own capacity also to make such type of developments, to look fundamental research more into prototypes or demonstrators. And in Switzerland, it's what is called EMPA. We have the fundamental research institutes like ETH, EPFL, and then we have startup communities. The EMPA also is able to make kind of first showing that something could be of practical value. I call it this way. First demonstrators. And my brother is there, and they've just built a huge building where there are modules in the building. It's about construction technology, 3D printing of buildings they do there. They do for applications for saving energy and so on. And then you can rent like an apartment where you work with the academy on certain solutions directly in such a demonstrator building. Yeah, my final slide is summarizing everything now. After many, many years dealing with India and having seen a lot, I really am very optimistic that India is on a good track. India is always improving. That's not the issue. The frustration sometimes, it's a little slow sometimes. You are on a good track, more needs to be done. And also we should not forget one thing, that we should not be arrogant in the West. We have a very long history. We, if I say we, just my country, Germany, let's take Germany. A very, very long history of successful innovation. You know, the car, Carl Benz, you know, a lot of things, which created such an ecosystem which is very, very powerful. India did not have this chance because India had no chance to do this type of things under British rule. You also see it very nicely because British rule was not related to IT, right? IT India is very strong. In the manufacturing technology, it's not as strong because this was just missed, this period. So, but the good thing is you see also countries which were like, I think South Korea is the best example. South Korea was a very poor country after Second World War, agro country, fishery, no technology. South Korea took it, the challenge to build up a system. And now I think, you know, my mobile phone is Samsung. South Korea is highly developed. Only in a few decades, from a very poor state, they developed exactly what I talked about, an ecosystem which is powerful to translate basic findings into relevant innovation for society. So, and then mindset, I have seen, of course, a lot of change of mindset. As I told you, people in the past said, why should we work with you? Makes no sense. Now, there is a big interest in academic collaboration. There is much better infrastructure, much better and the diminishing stereotypes, because this is what I have heard sometimes about people. I think if you are open, there are stereotypes that industry says academia is ivory tower, no practical relevance, it just wastes the money. Then vice versa, industrial research, we talk about a stabilizer, we talk about, yeah, this is not interesting for us. We are academia, we want to have complex things, not such primitive questions. And everybody says government is incompetent and corrupt. Again, these are stereotypes. There's always a little truth with this, of course, but this has to be overcome. And this is my last point. What I have really seen is the total sticking topic in the past 10 years, 15 years, 20 years ago with Indian academia was we could not agree on IPR. Simply because the partner was not willing to agree that if we work together and there is an application at the end and we spend the money, that then we need exclusivity on this application. Otherwise, it makes no sense to do it without. And this is very easy now. All the principles with all IITs, with all academia, the better for the academia. It's good to have background innovation patents, of course, but then we can really easily move ahead. And we have umbrella agreements, master collaboration agreements, totally international standard now with all major universities, no problem with India. You see there's a lot of development. So this ends my talk. Maybe I overshoot a little, but also this machine was sometimes a little moving too fast. So I thank you very much for your attention. Yeah, it was my thoughts, a little my impressions, but we can be again proud to be chemists, really, academic chemists or industrial chemists, because we change the world and we are needed, desperately needed in future even more. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Dietmar. It was wonderful to see somebody and hear somebody talk about the overall problem than just talking about his industry, his research, or what is needed. And that gives us the seed for thought and tells me that I can have, or we can have, continued engagement with him and thought exchange, give and take between different things. So I'll ask if there are questions from the audience, especially the students who are, okay, Amitabh? Yeah. Okay, I can have a mic.
Hello. So what sort of expertise do you look for in the candidates who are after PhD for the recruitment in the pharma sector of BASF?
You mean recruiting academics? Generally, academic?
No, in the pharmaceutical segment of your company, BASF, suppose a candidate wants to apply after PhD or after postdoc.
Yes.
So which sort of expertise do you look for in that candidate?
Yeah, as I've showed you, when we recruit for research, we look at two basic things. First, we look at the qualification in a certain field where we do research. For instance, I look particularly for good organic chemists, process development, analyticals. But at the same time, we look for general attitudes, you know, the personality, a capability to run projects, complex projects, intercultural skills. And therefore, in most research centers, and I also do it here, people who, after scientists who already very soon should take over responsibility for projects, these are PhDs, but there we also favor candidates with postdoc. Why? Simply more because of the cultural dimension. Because of course you can be in India all the time and you do a lot of papers and a lot of synthesis, but then this cultural thing is missing because our project managers here, sitting here in Mumbai, they work with San Diego, they work with North Carolina, they work particularly with Ludwigshafen, maybe with China, different functions together. It's like a conductor of an orchestra. And if you have worked abroad, you have experience, then you are more qualified in general for doing this kind of job. While the person, the scientist working in the lab, doing the experiment, there we normally hire masters. And these masters have also the chance to do an internal PhD, what we call internal PhD program. If they are willing to do it in parallel to their job, we endorse it. This takes 4 to 5 years. And then they can also grow, becoming PhDs there. But it's the two things which is important. I personally, my colleagues, they filter out more from the scientific part, from the content part to have the right candidates. And when I do the interview, I do not ask any question about science. I look more if they fit into BASF, the general capabilities. And I tell you, I talked to students here before. The most important thing is, what I look is, are they interested in their job? You can only excel, and this applies to a violinist or a piano player or a painter or artist or to whatever, sports person, cricket, if you are really passionate about what you're doing. And if somebody gives me the impression he would like to come to BASF because we are a good company and we have a good salary and so on, but there's no passion, feeling, I try to find out a little passion, then I hesitate. And of course, the other things are team play. Nobody of us can do anything also in BASF alone. Everything is 20, 30, 50 people working together. And if people are egomanic, egoistic, have some kind of personality issues, this is also an issue. Of course, we have probation periods sometimes. Maybe 1 out of 20 or so, or 30, we have interview process, but we are not happy with the person. Then before end of probation, we separate. But this is what I said, you should be good in science, you should understand the whole thing. You should also have shown in academia that you are really interested to solve complex problems. What you do in academia will not be one-to-one the same thing what you do in a company anyway. And then, if possible, if you can do it, do a postdoc. It does not matter so much where you are. You can go to Australia or to Germany or to US or whatever, which shows us that you have a little broader, that you have seen cultural diversity, because then you are not surprised when you learn that the Chinese has a little different way to do things, Japanese people also, or Germans. And then show interest in what you are doing, passion. Thank you.
Pick up that question and ask something,
yes.
Which is in the US, many of the companies have something called industrial postdoc opportunities.
Yes.
It's right after the PhD, but it's not a job. It's really a postdoc. Yes. Do you have anything like that, or would it be good to have something?
We have it. We have regular programs in Germany, for instance, also North America, where we have quite large centers. I have here a little the problem of critical mass, but I tell you one thing, what I now initiated is the following. And just 2 students have been selected. There is the Indo-German Science and Technology Council. I don't know if you know this at DST in Delhi, and they have started now a fellowship program which we support. And we are one of the first companies who has now selected 2 students, and this model works like the following. Because we have capacity in Ludwigshafen because you need people who also take care for this and so on. So I have asked in Ludwigshafen who will be willing to take students from India, and this can be a PhD. There are 2 programs, PhD program or postdoc program. And then we look for profiles, we ask for applicants, but this is done through the homepage of this organization, which is a binational organization, India, Germany. And then we received applications and we selected 2 who will now, they are just waiting for their visa. So they will be sent to Ludwigshafen. They will work in fields of, one is artificial intelligence, other one is on material science. And we also do it because we would then like potentially to hire them. So, yeah. But in Germany, we have large programs of this because again, there we have a huge units here. Here we are quite small. Yeah. Thank you.
If I may. I really enjoyed your talk. I'm a chemical engineer.
Yes.
Training.
Yes.
And your observations about what India has done well and what India must do are perfectly right on. And I feel things are changing. I'm here visiting from US. I'm teaching in US. So I'm going to spend 3 months interacting with scientists here. I'm an engineer. Right?
Okay, good. Yeah.
It's a new program from the government of India called Vajra. And so things are changing for the positive.
Yes.
I hope I can get an opportunity to engage with you more because this resonates exactly with what my experience is and what I can do. I have 2 questions, brief questions. BASF has R&D in many places.
Yes.
In facilitating this collaboration between industry and academia, do you find variations from country to country, particularly in relation to the IP-related issues? Because that's very significant in the US, for example.
Yes, you know, there are variations, but again, because of different development stage and also cultural things. But I have to say, in the meantime, I cannot say any country. India was difficult, I tell you, my personal, because I always was very much engaged, very frustrating. If you spend a lot of time and energy and you want really a mutual agreement, but then there is on the other side what I call a bureaucrat of the negative kind. Bureaucrats are important, we need them sitting everywhere, you know, but they should be not inhibitors, they should be catalysts.
Right.
But we have people, not only in India, but I have talked to people in Delhi in the science and technology ministry, not lower ranks, but which we have to talk for certain things, they have no clue about that this is important or not. They are sitting at an important position. Maybe they have a good salary, they are happy to be there, but they have no, what I said, passion and interest to move things forward. They only come, oh, you have to fill out this form. Then I say, yeah, but this is a different case. I cannot use this form. No, you have, this is the, bureaucrats of the worst kind. And they are, in my opinion, why did they get this job? It cannot be based on merit. Because merit would mean you are qualified, you understand what you should do, and you should also be passionate about moving things forward, not stopping things. And I tell you one thing, this is a private story. I'm also in the FICCI Council, where we consult the Indian government. I'm in the ICC R&D Council, where we look more for practical things. And what is it? CII, to support India. The most frustrating moment was 2nd of February this year. In the FICCI body on science and technology, what was proposed to Indian government was to give some incentives to people or to organizations who do research in India. Because research is you take money, you put it on the table, you don't know if you get the money back. You saw this curve? You do research development, you launch a product, still all costs money. You get money back, but then slowly the curve goes up and you must be very successful that you make the first rupee. It's a highly risky process. Every country incentivizes. Switzerland has a very nice patent box where if you do a patent work, then you get tax reductions and so on. And India has only one thing. We enjoy it. This is the DSIR recognition. You have to apply, blah, 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 very bureaucratic, but then you get a paper, DSIR recognized R&D. Then you get, instead of 18% import tax for balances, for whatever, for instrument, you pay 5%, which is quite significant. And what we proposed through FICCI was, this is the only one, please help. And it's not about BASF. I'm doing this job not because of BASF, because I believe if a company decides to come to India, this matters. Foreign company wants to do research in India, then all other countries have some incentives. India should also have something. We proposed to add other incentives like tax relief on research investment or whatever, patent box or whatever. And then the finance minister, Ms. Sitaram, what is her name? In one of the note, and we got the notification, then we asked, they abolished this incentive, the DSIR recognition. This will be discontinued from next year onwards. So this can only be that a bureaucrat does not understand, this type of thing. So again, this is sometimes a little my frustration. India is more with bureaucrats who do not help, who rather stop things. Otherwise, I see good progress in India. So, and then the general funding situation. But this is about private industry has to take more money to do new things. The risk capital, all these
maybe
things,
we need to move to other questions. There are a couple of other questions from the audience. I don't know who was there first. I will request Vivek to say things, ask his questions. But let's keep it short because our time is also running out. Vivek, you please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Oh, I see. They're both Viveks. Okay, Professor Datar, go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you very much. It's a very nice talk. I think stressing some of the difficulties and problems that are there. What I would like to ask is, what is the experience of BASF with research institutions like the IITs, IISc, IISERs, and also, for instance, the big research institute like BRC?
Very, very positive. IITs, I have shown it. Naturally, IIT Bombay is for us very interesting because we are very close. We are just 30 minutes away. It's a very good one. And we have very, very good experience. And this is therefore an official partner university of BASF in the global network. And also, I was just recently in Guwahati. IIT Guwahati, I know IIT Delhi, I know IIT Kanpur. I do believe that the IIT system has been developed very well and it's progressing very, very well. And IISER in Pune, we also work together. So this is all, in my opinion, has developed in a very good way. In the NCL, this kind of top structure of Indian research in our faculties has developed very well.
Can you give any examples of a product in the making or something, or a few products in the making?
Products. We do not have so far products. What we do, our focus is on sustainability. I just can tell you examples. Also with TIFR here, we have joint product with Vivek Polchetiva. What in general BASF now is going towards sustainability, which means to go for really new feedstocks. For instance, we have projects with IIT where we take advantage of Indian originated feedstocks, for instance. Look at lignin, looking at pectin, looking at these type of thing that India contributes to BASF's transformation, getting out of oil, you know, as a major source. One example. The other one is always interesting for us. This is catalysis. Catalysis is in many processes, and still we need better catalysts. This is another example where we have projects in India. But at the end of the day, it's all about sustainability.
Thank you.
Okay. I will request Vivek Polchetiva. Vivek, my departmental colleague. Go ahead, Vivek.
Yes, thank you, Dietmar, for giving a very exciting talk. I'm sorry I was not able to attend your talk, but hopefully I will meet you again physically. So my question is about the gap that you mentioned, that we do up to TRL 3 and you start from TRL 7. But ideally for industry, it's easy to start from TRL 4, right? So why that gap is there? Why can't industry start from TRL 4 rather than TRL 7?
Yeah, this is because industry, we have to mitigate also the risk of just spending endless money in a phase where the whole thing is completely uncertain. And it's a problem in principle if you have only certain knowledge about basic principle. This is for us normally, there are always exemptions. If the uncertainty is too high for us, then it's very difficult for us to start. We need to manage this uncertainty. And therefore, what I mentioned, organizations like Fraunhofer in Germany or EMPA in Switzerland are so important because they help us. And they help also academia to reduce the risk by walking over this thin ice and looking if it gets thicker, you know. Therefore, if academia only comes with some exciting news regarding this is very interesting synthesis or this is a very interesting molecule, but you have no direct practical relevance, or you cannot show that it's in principle possible to make a new technology or new product, it's very difficult for us to get endorsement and in your case, you see it perfectly. We got the endorsement for your product because we could link it to a need in BASF. This link to a need that some unit says, yes, this problem should be solved, and we have some conviction that we have a chance to solve the problem with industry academia collaboration. Then we can move ahead there. But we need to be there. We need to be there when we discuss here.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dad.
Okay, I think there has been a lot of good discussions, and it has been wonderful, Dietmar. So thank you very much. I have to end it here. There is some coffee outside, I guess, so we can go ahead and have one-to-one discussions there. Okay, so let's appreciate this big lecture once more. Okay, guys.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure to present something from a scientific institute. I think we have the best art collection outside our art galleries in India.
Oh yes, I just noted. Yeah,
they're all original arts hanging.
Very interesting. Yeah.
Yes. So there is a book on the art.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Most welcome to walk around and see. Or come back sometime.
Yes, of course.
Family to watch.
Very nice.
Okay, guys. So join us for coffee. Thank you.
Thank you very much.